Ever find yourself staring at a blank canvas and not sure what to create? Don't worry, I've got you covered. I've got 5 fun things you can do in Procreate when you're bored. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Haley, and this is Haley K Studio. And in today's video, it's all about these moments when you want to create something in Procreate, but you're just not sure what. I'm sharing 5 simple things you can do in Procreate when you're bored or just need to pass the time. And they're great for sparking creativity without the pressure of starting a big project. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe. So let's go ahead and jump right in. There's no denying that mandala art is super mesmerizing to look at, and you can easily create it yourself using the Symmetry Tool. To set up your canvas for the Symmetry Tool, it's best if you have a square canvas, and mine is set to 2048 pixels by 2048 pixels. To set up the Symmetry Tool, you go to Actions and then Canvas. You turn on the drawing guide and then you edit drawing guide. Mine's already set up, but you want to go to Symmetry here and then go to Options, and then we have it set to radial, and then we have assisted drawing turned on. Then go ahead and click done, and you can do this with any brush, any color you want. I like to keep it simple. I just have my color set to black, and I'm using a monoline brush. And if you don't know where to start on a mandala piece of art, you can always go onto Pinterest or onto Google Images and find some inspiration there. I'll give a quick example of someone who isn't totally proficient in mandala art, but I can show you, even as a novice in the art style, you can still have fun and create something incredibly mesmerizing. So that didn't take long at all, and you can even replay your image by going to Actions and then Video, and then you can watch a time-lapse replay. And watch the whole thing over again. And you saw on that video, I actually practiced this a few times, and it was kind of fun watching it over again because I totally forgot that I had made those. So there's our first pastime we can have fun with. Our next fun project that we can do is creating a cut paper or even like a cut cardboard abstract image. It doesn't even take any art ability. All you have to do is just create some shapes, apply some of the effects on those shapes, and then you can create a really cool cut paper, or in this case, we're going to do a cut cardboard effect. To start, I've got another square canvas. I am going to choose a background color, and I will choose this pink color, my trusty monoline brush chosen again. And I'm just going to start making some random shapes and then filling them. There, so now we've got our layers of blobby colors. Blobby is a technical term for that shape right there, the blobby. Now we can move on to the next step. So what I like to do is I like to make 3 duplicates of each of these layers. So I'm gonna, duplicate them twice. So I have 3 of them, and I will have 3 versions of each of these. And you can do this in any order you want to. First, I'm going to make the shadow effect of the paper. So I'm going to turn on alpha lock. I'm going to take black and I'm going to fill this layer. And then I have to immediately turn alpha lock off. And then we're going to kind of turn this into a shadow. And to do that, we're going to adjustments and then Gaussian blur. And then we're going to turn that up. I'm liking 14%. We will do the same thing to the bottom layer of each of the other colored shapes. And now to make this seem more like a shadow, we're going to select each of those black layers and select our transform tool. And we're going to kind of move this all together so it seems more like a shadow. So we can put it kind of toward the bottom because we can assume our light source is coming from up here. And now we're already kind of seeing that cut paper shadowed effect. We're going to do the same steps without the Gaussian blur, and we're going to switch to white again with the alpha lock and then fill layer. and then go through with the rest of them. Okay, so each of those shapes has a white layer, and now we're going to add some bulk, and we will just kind of move it around almost like it's opposite to the shadow. What I want to do is when we create the cardboard effect, we want to include this white part as part of that. To include the white in the cardboard overlay, we need to flatten it to its corresponding layer with the color in it. And so we're going to flatten each of these together. We need to create an overlay of cardboard. So we're going to go to the textures brush set in our brush library. This is the default brush set in library. I want to make our new brush out of one of their existing brushes, so all of the coding is already there. So I'm going to do that with the wood brush. So I'm just going to duplicate that. So all of the coding is how we want it. And all we need to do is go to grain, edit, import, and you can create so many custom brushes and grain brushes in Procreate using just their source library. If you haven't accessed their source library before, I highly recommend going in there and start browsing what they have in their included source library, because it is so full of really fun textures and shapes that you can just create your own brushes all day long. That's another thing you can do when you're bored. Just create brushes. It's super fun. But we're looking for a specific grain source here, and it is the corrugated grain source. So here it is, and it is just a cardboard corrugated look to it. Is hit done, and you can rename this to cardboard, and we'll just make sure that this, we want to move this to max capacity for the brush size so that it's really quick to just fill our screen with the cardboard look. So then you hit done, and now we have a cardboard grain, and that was super easy, took nothing to make. I am going to create a new layer on the top, going to choose black, and I'm just going to fill the entire screen with that cardboard, and then I am going to turn down the opacity quite a bit, and then I'm going to create a clipping mask, and that clipping mask is going to that first layer of the shapes. And so that first layer now has the cardboard look to it. And we're just going to repeat this process as well, but on each layer, we're going to change the size of the grain so that we can kind of see the difference between the different cardboards. On that next orange layer, we're going to add a layer, go to the cardboard brush, and then go to grain, and then we're going to scale it up a little bit. Let's scale it up to 25, and then we can just turn on the clipping mask on that layer so we don't have to do it later, and we can just see that it automatically makes that cardboard look, and then turn down the opacity. Now we've got two different cardboard sizes, and we're just going to repeat that for the last layer and then the background. There is our cardboard look, and I think it's super fun. So you can do any sort of like paper texture on these, and you can have fun for a long time with these. So my next project you can do in Procreate when you're not sure what you want to do is a text layer mask. I have a lot of fun with these. You can take any word or set of words and create a really cool design with them. I'm going to create a kind of a cute kawaii style one because you all know that I love my kawaii style. So we're going to do that again here. I have the black selected, and I am going to go to actions and then add text. And here's our text box here. And I want to choose retro groovy. I'm just going to size it up and kind of move it to the middle. I'm just going to turn on caps lock, and I want my word to be cute. And it's a little too big, so I'm just going to size it down a little bit so that it is just big enough, and then center that. And before I move on to the next step, I am going to duplicate that because I'm going to use that a duplicated version of it a little later. And with this top layer, I'm going to add another layer above it and then turn on a clipping mask. And I'm just going to start kind of filling this in with a color, and then I'm going to find some cute kawaii stamps from my Kawaii Essentials brush set and drawing kit because there's tons of stamps in here, and so I'm going to use them to give this a really cute style. But first of all, I am going to fill this layer with a pretty color. So of course we're going to choose pink because it's cute. And so I'm going to fill this layer. Now that word is just all pink. But what I want to do is I want to add a new layer above that. And I am going to, because I want to fill these each with white, and in order to color fill them correctly, they can't be in that same layer yet. So I'm just going to fill those in, choose another one, add some little hearts. And now those clouds are in there, so I'm just going to merge them with that color fill layer. Now we're going to go back to this version of the word cute that I had duplicated, and I am going to change its color to white. We're going to click on this AA to make a couple other changes. I want to change this to outline. I'm going to move it to the very top, change the background color, and we're going to change it to this blue. And now we have an outline for that word. I want to add some more details to the background. I'm going to show you another texture that I like to use that's default to Procreate, and that is back in textures. And this is very kawaii, but it is the grid texture. And I just like to, again, fill the whole screen with that texture. It's kind of nice if you make that a little transparent. And now we have our fun design and text layer mask. And you can even go through and change the colors if you'd like. We can change the background to this red and go to this layer, and we can even just drop in a color. And let's try the orange, and it will pick up the color in the clouds as well, in the white that we used, but that is okay. Just going with the flow with how Procreate works in that regard. But there you go. There is the method of a text layer mask. It's really fun to do. You can do this with your name and do this with any style that you want. The next thing I do in Procreate all the time, and that is create stamp brushes. If you've visited my Etsy shop, you know that I have tons of stamp brushes of cute kawaii style animals. And here are my red pandas, for example. Each of my stamp brushes has about 36 to 45. 45 is pretty much my standard number of images in each stamp brush pack. So this takes a lot of time, and so I find that I'm never bored because I always have stamp brushes to draw and to make, and I find them to be super charming and a great way to pass the time. I am working on a collection of Scotty dogs right now. I'm just going to show you my process of creating those stamp brushes, and then we can make one together. So to make some cohesiveness to my collection, I usually just have a series of faces to the animal that I reuse for each of the images. So I'm not redrawing the same picture over and over again, especially if it's a specific angle or pose. So I'm just going to paste in the face of little Scotty dog that I have been using. Then we can add the little body to this. Then we can make him into a stamp brush. I have my monoline at 80%. I'm just going to make his little body. Here's our little Scotty dog. He's just facing us, and I gave him a little collar. I gave him a little collar tag, and there's his little collar now. Makes a little more sense. And I gave him a little tail. And it's always nice to kind of clean up these little spaces that overlap that you didn't mean to overlap, so that if you're going to sell this, you're giving the best quality to whomever is going to use these in the future. And so now we can take this and turn it into a stamp brush. I want to first flatten this, and I want to fit this to canvas, put it right directly in the middle so that every time someone uses it, it is dead center to where they place their Apple Pencil or finger or whatever they use to get stuff on the screen. So when you create a brush or a stamp brush in Procreate, the image that you put into the source image has to be white. And I get a lot of people commenting that I can just paste in my black image and then use two fingers and then it will invert the image for me. However, in my experience, that only works if there's a grayscale to the image and there's a mix of white and gray. When it's just black, I've noticed it doesn't work. So I am going to duplicate this, and there's a couple ways you can color fill these, but my favorite way is just to add a layer above it and then fill that with white, turn on a clipping mask, and then merge those down. And now I have my white version. I'm going to copy this layer, add this to my Scotty dogs here. So I am going to create a new brush. going to set spacing to max. I'm going to shape and then edit. I'm going to import this and hit paste. And then I'll hit done. Properties, and I'm going to set this to stamp preview. And I'm going to set preview size to 10 just to turn it down. I'm hit max size up to max. I'll go back up to Apple Pencil. I'm going to turn opacity all the way down because I don't want any opacity when you use this. And then I'll hit done and we'll give this a test. And he's kind of big on my preview size, so I'm going to turn him down. And there, I like it set to 8, a little bit better. Turn off those 2 layers and then just set this to black. And then now we have our stamp brush. We can turn it down and then we can use it like that. So there's how you create a stamp brush. I do this pretty much every night. I make stamp brushes all night long. Then I sell them on Etsy. It's super fun to do. One of my other favorite things to do in Procreate when I'm bored or I just want to create something new is create a chain brush. And I have a few examples of chain brushes in my Kawaii Essentials brush set and drawing kit. These are chain brushes. They're like chain doodles. And I even sell a doodle chain brush set on its own, and it's here, and I'll link this one below too, but I just have a bunch of different chain brushes that are just a bunch of cute doodles that I made, and they're really fun to use, and they're kind of pretty and a little bit mesmerizing when you use them. They're great for borders. If you're creating like a custom journal or a planner or something like that, they're great for borders, and this is how you make it. We're going to go back to a monoline brush. All we're going to do is create like a little cute image. So that's it. That's all I'm going to do here. I am going to fit it to canvas, center it. Again, I'm going to turn this white with my normal method of a clipping mask with the white over it and merge it down. And now I'm going to copy that. I will hit this little plus sign to create a new brush. And we're going to first set the spacing to max, go to stabilization and turn streamline up to, let's say 65. And then we can go to shape and then edit and then import in our image and then hit done. We can go into the spacing. Now that we have the image in, we can kind of edit the spacing if we want, but we didn't want it all like that because if you don't have the spacing turned on, that's what it looks like. So just kind of editing according to the size of your little image. We can even go to properties and preview size. If we set the preview size up pretty big, we can start seeing it a little better. And then before you are done, you want to go to Apple Pencil and turn the opacity all the way down, and then you can give it a name and put your name on it if you want. And then you can click done. And now you have your chain brush, and we're just going to turn those off and test it out. So now we have a really fun chain brush, and you can even turn this into like a polyline, and you can move it all around if you want. These are 5 really fun things to do when you're needing some inspiration. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this one, hit that subscribe. And until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye!